What is going on, everybody? How are we doing? Oh, the graphics just went wild over here. The most powerful man in the world is about to speak, and the markets seem a little nervous about it. At least they did this morning. I don't know. They're doing just fine right now. We got the Fed minutes today, and we're getting some action. Hope you guys are all doing good. Weimaranth, Ted, David, what's up, fellas? Hope you're all well today. If you're just tuning in, which you probably should be just tuning in because I just went live, say hello. I want to know who's here. I want to know how you're doing. I want to know what you're trading. I want to know everything. I also want to know what's going on with Fed minutes. Can anybody hook me up with a link? Markets seem quite unsure here. Lots of volume just came in. I'm on the SPY. Just the 1 minute. Watching this thing close. Personally, not really sure where we might be headed next. We are holding above VWAP from today, which is what you want to see, you know. Couldn't get above it early on in the day, managed to gain it, we held it, and now we've gone higher. Hello from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Peter Balo. How's it going, man? Good to have you here. Cornfred Country, trading Apron. Apron has been an absolute monster. What's it doing today? Where's it at? 6:15. Apron is definitely one that I've been watching for a long time. Got some targets on it, about $8. That gap fill up above. Don't know if we'll get it, but think it might come. I love how it held those all-time lows down here earlier this year, around June. Be careful, though. It is getting into pretty extended. We're up 100% in about 6 sessions, so be mindful of that. Pop back over to SPY. Looks like we're near high a day. Yes, sir. There it is. Gaining the high of the day now. So what was it a big old nothing burger? Was that the ultimate thing? It was a big old nothing burger. Coming into yesterday's VWAP, could see some resistance here. We'll see. Kind of had my eyes, if I was going to try shorting this, I had my eyes over here. Kind of up into that gap fill. What's up, Lori? From sunny Southern California. You're doing well with some McDonald's. Ooh, getting spicy here now, guys. This is a big move. Coming into yesterday's lows. Will we reject? Decent chance. What are the Qs looking like? Qs kind of lagging a little bit behind SPY there. What's IWM looking like? IWM has been the leader, and now it's a little bit the laggard, isn't it? Hasn't even made a new high of day. That's interesting. Kind of speculated early on, or not early on, but kind of have been speculating that IWM is, since it's the leader, it's farther ahead in its relative price action than the other two indices. Wouldn't be surprised that if this market's going to keep going higher, we're going to have to see money move from IWM into SPY, into the Qs. And specifically into SPY, because SPY is the laggard of the bunch. So interesting to see SPY. Interesting to see SPY, the strongest one of the bunch. Now, the question is, are they just coming in to retest those yesterday's lows like they just did, and are they going to sell it off here? That is a big question. Really nice accumulation this morning, though. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Made lower lows. We're making higher lows on RSI. Nice divergence. I was personally really hoping that we get a move back in to this area somewhere. I guess technically we did, but it was I was hoping that we'd get a breakout and then a move back was what I was really hoping for. Maybe it'll come now. Who knows? We'll see. So they're kind of selling things off. Does anybody have the Fed minutes info? I could go digging for it, but if you guys are on it, I would love to know where your heads are at. Cheyenne, watching Amazon. My producer was also watching Amazon. My creative collaborator on these live streams was also watching Amazon, and I believe he was long. The 142 calls. I wonder if he sold them just now because it was a heck of a pop to sell into. Dollar gain in about a minute and a half. Joe Moody, what's happening? Man, we got a lot of people viewing today. 124 of you guys. That's the most we've had ever. So thank you so much for being here. Really, really happy to have you on. Holler at me if you have any questions about anything. I'm just going to try and get to you all. We also are I think we're going to bring on a guest today. I was talking to my buddy Andrew from Pristine Cap. I don't know if you guys know Andrew from Pristine Cap. But I was talking to Andrew today. He's been so kind to me over my time here at TrendSpider, and I think we're going to bring him on and talk shop. Probably do that here in about 20 minutes or something. All right, so selling off on Amazon a little bit, coming back to test where it broke out from. Could be an interesting opportunity here if this move is legit. This would make sense. Oh no, Mark, your Apple puts. No. Bark. Joe, what do you trade? You're trading Bark. What is Bark? Ooh, coming into a tough spot for it. I mean, this 273 level will be difficult, and you guys can very, very clearly see why, right? Big spot. But if it can gain that, yeah, your next high's up to $4.50. Could be nice. Weber. Ooh, what is this? Is this the grill company? It's kind of a pretty ugly chart. High or low? Yeah, high or low on the weekly. So that's, that is what you want to see. They came and they back tested those lows, which is what you want to see. They've now made a new high. Interesting. So I think I would maybe take the strat philosophy here on this one. You've got an inside day today. If it stays inside, strat philosophy says you gain today's high and you target yesterday's. So you gain that 840, you target 890. You lose today's low. You target yesterday's low. So you lose 740, you target 680. It's kind of where my head would be at on it. Tough to trade it here because it's inside. So you really need to see the move out. That would be where my head's at. Super low float. Short interest 63%. Bill Gates is long. What does Bill Gates know about grilling? Do you think Bill Gates really grills his own food? I don't know. I have my doubts about that. But that's what I would wait for on it. Tilray. Yeah, what's weed doing today? I know Jake's been all over weed. Oh, kind of a rough day. Not the greatest look. I don't love these weed names, personally. I mean, you do have a nice consolidation, accumulation pattern that we broke out of. So you can see where that blue line is. That would be an area where I would maybe be interested in taking along. Because what they may have just done, and I mean, I'm not saying this is absolutely the case, but what they may have just done is they may have just come in and sucked a bunch of liquidity out, trapped a bunch of longs to send it back. I think at some point it would have to come back and test this. So that's what I'd be looking for on it. You do have highs up here around, 476 that it might be pressing for. Not saying it can't get them, but we'll see. These weed names just are, I don't know. I've never had any luck with them. David Nguyen. Will what touch 433? I suppose you're talking about SPY, huh? Well, it's a good question. I mean, I am of the mindset that, yeah, it will. Now, whether it will now or it needs to pull back a little before it will, I'm not really sure. But my whole thesis has been IWM here. So IWM, as I've been saying, leading the markets. And so what I look for is, where did IWM pause? IWM paused at this area around 420, April 20th. Interesting high to lose here, but that's where we failed yesterday, right? If we compare SPY's equivalent level is 444. So my eyeballs on SPY are in here. Now, SPY's been the weakest, so maybe SPY's just failing, and that's maybe what's happening. But I kind of think, personally, what might be a little bit more likely is that, we could maybe get a little bit of consolidation here, but I kind of think we're going to come up into this 436 to 444 area. We'll see if it happens, but that's what I'm thinking. Yep, lots of talk about the 200 SMA. We can look at it. Let me add it real quick. There it is. Perfect kiss. I mean, we did that here too, right? We kissed it and gained it. And we kissed it here and we failed it. And we kissed it here and we held it. And we kissed it here and we failed it. And kissed it here and failed it. I don't know. I'm not... The 200-day moving average is not the end-all be-all for me. It is an important one. This is the first time we're coming into it down sloping in how long? Long time. Coming into it from below it, down sloping. And you could argue maybe this is down sloping here, maybe this is down sloping here, but not nearly the same sort of slope. So yeah, of course, it's going to have some problems there. That's not surprising, but we'll see. We'll see how it ends up affecting price action. Clearly, the market likes whatever it heard today, and I still haven't heard from you guys what the market heard. Fed minutes happened. Happiness revival. I'm really, really hoping that somebody can give us a little bit of background on it. Weimaranth, glad you like the background music. Blink and CVS. Blink. Interesting spot. They just stopped it below that gap. That's pretty cool. See if there's anything in here. You guys know me. I love anchored VWAPs from relative lows. We like to anchor a secondary one when we can, when it makes sense. It's this guy right here. Let's go to a bigger time frame and see what's going on bigger time frame wise. Yeah, I mean, a nice hold of these highs. So maybe they need a little bit of a retest. You really want to see them gain. You really want to see them get new highs. But maybe they need to come back a little Looks like there's some untested stuff in here. Ooh, what's sell H? What's sell H doing? So if you get a pullback to like 19, that would be a pretty interesting long op. If they make a new high here, to me that would be an opportunity to short. Let me see what my sell H alert was just talking about. Sell H back to 100. We won't worry about that right now. Man, so many of y'all today, I can't keep up. CVS. Whoa. Did they have earnings on this day? Yes, they did. Coming into these old highs, getting rejected. Not the greatest look in the world. And the reason why, you got your high here, you got a lower high here, you got lower highs here, and now what are we doing? Making a new lower high for now. So, if you want this trend to change, you really, really, really want to see them make new highs against these. Because right now the trend is down. If they fail this and they continue lower, then the expectation would be another lower low, which is below 88 bucks. It's a big move on earnings. So it wouldn't surprise me to see it come in a little bit. Just need to work on this right side of this, you know, I guess you could call it maybe a cup, right? Your left side took a long time. Your right side may need time. Oh, y'all in your meme stocks. BBBY, David. Or Daniel. Sorry, Daniel. Wow. New highs today, huh? Jeez. Crazy. Tough to go long here. That's all I can say about that. Tough to go long here. Looks like what they did or what they're trying to do, potentially, you had your old high. And they came in and they trapped a bunch of longs. You knew that there were a bunch of stops here. Shorts with stops up here. So they take all those out. And they turn it back. This is ugly, man. I mean, it's crazy. But to me, this is pretty ugly. And I would anticipate it's coming all the way back at some point. When? I don't know. But it's kind of where my head would be at on it. I mean, the formation that we have here is almost the exact same as here, huh? You have this big move up right here and right here, right? You pull back, you try and test it. Pull back, you try and test it, and you fail. You lose, you come back. Lose, come back. You know, history doesn't always repeat, but it often rhymes, as they say, right? So maybe that's what we've got going on here. TBLT, still 50% short interest and a low float. So you are playing these short, low float names, huh? You're at like a must-hold level right here on TBLT. You really want to see this low. You really want to see them hold it. Decent risk-off level, right? Like, if you were to try to go long here, you got a decent spot to kind of play off of. They could be prepared. They could come in and undercut these lows, liquidity hunt, and then turn it around. It's possible. They did make a new high, technically. But you're coming off what? The June 17, this thing was trading below $2. And when we anchor a VWAP from June 17, we're below it. Not the greatest look. Would love to see them gain that back. The thing is when the music stops on these low float, high short names, they're going to go to Goblin Town, as they say, and they're going to stay in Goblin Town until the market decides that they want to play these names again. So just be mindful of that. SQ, David Yoakum, playing SQ with the boys. I saw y'all playing SQ. David SQ, new low. Just barely. Well, did they do it? Kind of looks like they did it. They barely held it, didn't they? Oh, they held it. Wow. A little double bottom thing. Interesting. That is a sketchy place to take a long. Lower highs up here, Dave. So that's not great. Coming into the swing low, trying to test 82.34. So if it's weak, 82.09. If you're long from down here in the low 80s, like 80 and change, or like high 79, Dave. Actually, I don't even know if you would have gotten it today. No, you didn't get it today. But if you're in from there, it might be an interesting spot to start thinking about profit taking. 82 and a third or so. How much longer? Double bottom, bigger time frame, daily 8 EMA. You love your daily 8s. 75 bips on hikes approved. Yeah. Fed expects unemployment rate to begin rising. Interesting. They're shooting for a 100-point hike. Fed didn't give any guidance on future rate hike pace, rather said it's data dependent. Also, Fed did think the economy is still strong. That's not a surprise. 75 points still on the table. Fed is not backing down to 50. Thank you guys for all these updates. Inflation needs to ease substantially. Nice, David. Good job on that 15% lock. Sees unemployment rate to rise in second half. Yeah, okay. Got it. So they're all good on 75 bips. They are not sure what they're going to do next, but they think unemployment's going to rise. Awesome. That tells me everything I need to know. No, it doesn't. VLO. We had somebody playing VLO. Who was it? Who was it playing VLO? I can't remember who was playing VLO, but somebody really liked VLO. Yeah, nice move today. Gaining that anchored VWAP from your swing high. Previously, you had this nice accumulation pattern here. They broke out, they retested, they gained, they retested, they gained. Doesn't look bad. Now they're kind of targeting here, right? They're targeting this little swing. Right there. So look for them to gain that or to lose it. But that's where they're targeting first. Nick Stocks played it. Ah, okay. Got you. I knew we had somebody recently was talking VLO. Maybe it was on like a trade idea show. How are the indices looking right now? I'm going to jump back real quick. Looks like they're maybe selling off a little. Yeah, so they came into yesterday's lows and found some resistance at them. Qs didn't quite make... they barely made it. Wow. Huh. And then IWM, my guess is IWM. Has it made a new high yet today? Did it even make a new high? No, it didn't. Oh, it did. Just barely. So I'm always looking at these correlations to see, you know, what's working, what's not working, what's leading, what's not. Oh, John. Okay, that's what it was. I knew somebody was talking VLO. I just couldn't remember. DO? Travell. Constructive. Again, a nice little accumulation pattern. A little falling wedge in here. Make a low, make a lower low, make a higher low. And all the while you've got RSI increasing on those lows. So nice divergence and nice breakout. They came back, they tested these highs right here, right? Came back in, tested, held. And now they're kind of testing these lows. It doesn't look bad to me. You have a 2 up, 2 down for Stratters. You did make a new high. It doesn't look bad. I don't know anything about what they drill. I assume oil. But it doesn't look bad. SPY, you want to bid it, or David, you want to bid on SPY at 427. Back into like early morning highs. That's what you're saying? I thought that they were going to give us a little something, a little more of a pullback, personally. Same sort of deal. Accumulation pattern. Right? Kind of through here. You got a low, you got a lower low, but you've got an increase in RSI. So you've got some divergence. And then they broke out. I thought that they were going to come back in. We'll see. My eyeballs were, for a potential long anyway, my eyeballs were back in here somewhere. 425 and change. Yeah, it's David, I think this is all about like how powerful is this move, right? If this move's super powerful, then they'll probably end up trying to hold early morning highs like what you're looking for, 424.4. If this move isn't as powerful, they could come back in and look for more liquidity. Man, they came right into my short target. Wish I had had some orders. I did have orders there, but then I pulled them before we went live because I didn't want to miss anything. Well, that's what I get for doing that, huh? I'm going to hit up my friend Pristine and see if he wants to come on. All right, so he's going to come on here in about 10 minutes. So we'll be waiting for that, and we'll just be watching. Yeah, so far you're getting that hold there, David, which is nice to see. Man, they came right up into my spot. Oh, I wish I had those orders in. That would have been a nice little move. AERC. Big divergence, huh, on the RSI. Accumulation. Nice little move. They scooped the liquidity right from these highs, didn't they? Right there. And sold it off. Now we're getting a nice little pullback into our previous little wedge. Kind of in here. Doesn't look bad. I mean, you know, I always look for these to come in more. But it might not. You went outside. Well, you went inside, but you took out the range on the highs and the lows yesterday. This one's a little tricky. Arrow clean. What do these guys do? Curious to know. Trader Dick, buy soap and towels. Sorry, I might have missed some stuff. UVXY making new 52-week lows. Yeah. David, you took that trade. Cool. I hope it works. So, for everybody that's here that is not a TrendSpider user, since we do have quite more people here, let me get you guys something real quick. Let me see if I can find it. May have to get Sadie to hook me up. I want to get you guys a coupon because I want you guys all to be TrendSpider users. We're all TrendSpider users here. If you're watching this stream and you're not a TrendSpider user and you've been thinking about it, you've been sitting on the fence, on the sidelines, considering whether or not you want to be a TrendSpider user, I've got a 25% discount code for you. And I'm going to give it to you right now. There you go. 25% off. Nice, David. 75 cents to 102. Done for the day. Cheers. We'll see you at the beach in 2 hours. I'll take the private jet and meet you at the beach. How are we looking here? Nice play, David. Nice play. Yeah, so, I mean, kind of pretty strong, right? Like, they didn't bring it back into any of this. They just held previous highs. Pretty strong. I guess I could get my second shot here at my short idea. But now I don't know if I want it. Like I said, SPY still has room to go higher. We talked about the slow grind higher last week. It's coming into fruition today. At least it sure seems like it. Or it's really been coming into fruition past week, huh? AeroClean Tech specializes in interior air purification. Got it. What's up, Connor? Take a look at Walmart real quick. Oh, wow. So tricky, huh? What did Amazon? Didn't Amazon do something like this? Came into a gap, had some reversal looking candles, and just ended up continuing to gain. I mean, wow, what a tricky place to be in. Made a new high today. Held yesterday's low today. In any scenario like this, I'm always going to anchor. Whenever you have a big gap up, gap down, I'm always going to anchor a VWAP just to kind of see where your average buyer is from that gap. So currently, average buyer is losing on this particular trade, Connor, which isn't great. You know, you really want to see them winning. This is a tricky one, man. This 139, I'd be watching 139 and a quarter. Maybe they could come in. They've been trying to hold this 139.5 level. Maybe they could come in and pull a little bit of liquidity out and then bring it back. I don't know what to expect here, Connor. But we did hold a low and we did make a new high. So I suppose you could expect a continuation of that trend pending we don't make a new low below 138.42. Lose 138.42, then you've now made a new low, and maybe you start expecting that if it comes back into the previous highs, it might fail. Let's see if Andrew is ready to rock and roll here. This man's supposed to be giving me a call. This is the first time we've done this. First time we've had a guest on the show. So pardon us if we totally botch this and get this all wrong. Tried to figure out how to do this earlier today to bring a guest on. And hopefully we're going to get this right. I have high hopes that we're going to get this right. And as time goes on, we're going to get better with this guest stuff too. Like right now, Andrew's not going to be able to share a screen. But if he has any ideas or you're curious his thoughts on anything, I can help him chart on my end. So we'll see what we got going on here. Hang tight with us real quick. Just awaiting this call. TBLT rallying now. Hey, nice. Puts for December. Tax loss harvesting and post-midterm elections seems like an opportunity to you. Certainly could be. I can't think out a week, much less 4 months. But more power to you. And I hope that trade works for you. Yeah, we could look into that. Let me, as soon as we get, well, here, let's do this real quick. Let me go to seasonality, because now you got me curious. So seasonality, Walmart, for the past 50 years. September is a, 59% win rate in September. It's not that bad. Looks like its worst performing months are January, April, June, and August. Keep that in mind, Connor. It's not the end all be all, of course, but something to be mindful of. Pop back into TBLT and see what's going on with it. Oh yeah, would you look at that? Huge volume just came in, huh? Are they listening to this call? Are they on this stream? Do they know what we're talking about? It's possible. Market makers. Tactical risk management. Recap the minutes for the new viewers tuning in. So as far as I understand tactical risk management, everybody is in agreement that 75 bips is the way to go. They envision jobs. They envision jobless claims to increase in the next quarter. They have not given us an idea as to how they're going to raise going forward. Sounds like 50 bips is not going to happen. Sounds like at least 75 next raise. That's kind of the gist that I picked up from the chat here. Bury stock, GEO. What a day. GEO having a big day. So I had something drawn here. Not really sure why I had these drawn here. Let's go back to a monthly and see. So on the monthly, you got higher lows. We like that. Pretty strong month this month for sure. Gaining this swing high. We like that if we're bullish. Lots of volume this week, interestingly. So your next area that we're looking at, it's probably around 10 bucks, 960, somewhere thereabouts. You could do an anchored VWAV from this relative high. That's going to be a level of importance as well. 1144 potentially at some point, but you know, you've gained this high now at 804. Now we're looking up here. What are they going to do when they get to 960? All right, Andrew's going to call us here in just a second. We're going to get Andrew's hot takes. See what he's thinking about the market right now. I'm very curious to know. The thing I like about Andrew, he's got a pretty diverse view of what's going on in the markets. This guy looks at a lot of data. You know me, I'm over here in my little bubble of index price action. And he's looking at what's going on other markets, in other countries. He's looking at all kinds of different data. So he's got a much more versed view as far as like the macro. I always want to talk to people who have good macro views. Something I don't really know much about. Yeah, but GEO, I mean, you can't deny this weekly candle. This thing is strong as can be. And looks like they tried to fail at these highs. They initially did on Friday, on the 15th. They gained them yesterday, back tested, and are holding and going higher. So I think it's probably, what's the word? Programmed, as they say. Programmed. Now you do have this gap above. You'll want to be on the lookout for what price does up there. It could fail at the bottom of the gap. Could fail at the top of the gap. You have this little swing here, but it looks like this swing was testing here. So this would be my guess. I would be guessing 955. That's where I'd be looking for a take profit opportunity. And then if you got a nice little sell-off here, I'd be looking at those previous highs. And actually, kind of maybe specifically this one, this $8 area. Let's go back into SPY and the Qs. I'm really kind of wanting to keep a close eye on these things today. So they came back. Oh, this was my short spot. This was exactly where I had a short set. Like almost to the penny. Yeah. Almost to a penny. That hurts. I should have kept those positions in. Live and learn. Mr. Andrew O'Connell.
What's going on, man? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's pretty muffled.
Wait, let me see if I can move the mic a little bit closer. One sec. All right, yeah. Let me know if that comes through.
Can you guys hear Andrew? It is still really muffled. I can hear you, but it's really muffled.
Let me test my mic over here. One sec.
Yeah, a little muffled for you, Dave.
Yeah, just give me one sec.
Yeah, it's getting better already.
Let me see. And if anything, I'll try giving you a call back in a minute.
Okay. We're gonna try it again if necessary, y'all.
Let me try giving you a call back in 1 minute. Sometimes it flops out the mic with like my desktop mic. Let me just try giving you a call back in 1 sec.
Okay, perfect.
All right, sounds good, man. Talk to you in a
All right.
minute.
Yep. All right, we're gonna try again in a minute. We want y'all to be able to hear what Andrew's saying. I want to be able to hear what Andrew's saying as well. Man, okay, so very, very interesting place for SPY to reject. This is not really what you want to see. They closed this gap. They filled the gap, and they immediately rejected off of it. Right here. If you're bullish, you definitely wanted to see them gain that. This is now, what do we have? Now we have, I mean, it's just, this is a small time frame, to be fair. Small time frame, so keep it in mind. But now what do we have? We have a high. We have a lower high, and we have now a third potentially lower high if they don't start getting a move on here. So something to be really, 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 really mindful of. We did lose this low. This is the low that brought us up. We lost it. So we made a new low. And now we're making lower highs as well. That's how I feel about this. We could, of course, we could absolutely keep gaining. But this makes me a little nervous. We'll have to wait and see kind of how this ends up playing out, maybe towards the end of the day. We've got 2 hours left till the end of the... Oh, no, we have an hour left. Hour 15 minutes left till the end of the session. But I was very concerned about this spot. What did the Qs do? Let's see if he's calling us back yet. Not yet. Qs didn't quite make it to that gap. They essentially failed kind of in the middle of it at this low here. And IWM pulling liquidity, potentially sucking liquidity out. A bunch of shorts above today's high. They just took them all out. When can you short QQQ? Well, that quite depends on a lot of factors. That quite depends on your time frame and your idea and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, like I said, or I don't know if you were here earlier, we were talking about this area in here, this April 20th. April 18th through April 20th. This area in here is where I've been eyeballing on all of the charts, on all of the index charts. IWM. It's the exact same area. We came all the way into it, right? And we've failed right here. On the Qs, kind of failing at the bottom of that range so far. You know, we didn't quite get into it. So IWM managed to get into like right here before it failed. So that would put Qs at like 341. SPY. SPY's even worse off, right? SPY's the laggard. But the same relative spot on SPY is 444. You know, part of my thinking has always been IWM's been the leader. Maybe IWM sells off a little. Maybe we get some money come into the Qs, come into the SPY. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know. But that's kind of what I've been loosely anticipating. So, you know, depending on your time frame, depending on your bias, depending on what you're thinking, you might want to be starting to look for shorts now on the Qs. Yeah. We can add the gaps if you want. So here's your gap detector. All right, we got Andrew calling back in. What's up, Andrew?
Let's give this another shot. Can you hear me?
Ah, that's much better. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Can everybody hear Andrew all right here?
I had to swap out my mic.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just checking to make sure that everybody in chat can hear you. I think my chat and video is delayed like 20 seconds, so it's going to take a quick second to get some feedback from everybody.
It's all good. I'm just getting my charts loaded up anyway. This is a pretty wild day in the market, huh?
It is indeed. So I'm hearing it's still hard to hear. Do you have like a volume control?
Let me see. Give me one sec. Yeah, usually I do not have this issue on Discord. Let me see. Volume control.
David, how are we now? I'm turning up the volume on my end. There we go.
Let me see.
Okay.
I'm going into my settings. Okay.
All right. So it sounds like we're good now. All right. So everybody, this is Andrew. Andrew is at Pristine. What's your Twitter is
handle?
Pristine Cap?
Yep. Yeah, it's at Real Pristine Cap.
Real Pristine Cap. So Andrew, if you guys are on FinTwit, Andrew is a pretty well-known name in the space. He and I have been buds for a little while. We talk shop in Discord. We talk shop just to, off and on. And he's our first guest on the show. So Andrew, man, thank you so much for being here. And we're gonna, like I was telling everybody earlier, and like I was telling you, like it kind of sucks we can't share your screen to so you can kind of take over and kind of show us what you're thinking. But we can talk through whatever ideas you have in mind, and I can kind of run the charts on my end. If you want to, you could have YouTube on in the background, Andrew, so that you can kind of see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. But yeah, what are you thinking about today? We got word on the Fed minutes. Everybody's in agreement. 75 bips was the way to go, but it sounds like there's not any sort of information now about kind of where they might be going next. They're saying that they're expecting unemployment to rise. You have an awesome macro perspective. I know that you're kind of looking at so many different things at any given time. So I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so we just got the Fed minutes. And so it's important to just set the table with the Fed minutes. So every month we have that Fed meeting, right? And there's the press conference, and they talk about, hey, we're going to raise interest rates by X amount. And then they set the tone for forward guidance, all that good stuff. And that's always a huge market moving event that everyone gets super prepared for. Now, the Fed minutes, they come out a few weeks later, and it's really just a recap of that last Fed meeting. So these minutes that we got today, these are a recap from, literally a few weeks ago. And to be honest, like the market at the last Fed meeting, Jerome Powell came out and did his thing, did his presser. And from that point on, the market had this magnificent rally, and pretty much everyone interpreted it as there was going to be a dovish pivot at the Fed. And from there, that's where we got like a monster rally. And we have the indices, like NASDAQ's up like 20%, the S&P 500's up like a good 10% and change. Like all of these things have moved up to the upside so well. Right. So to be honest, like whenever the Fed minutes come out, I always know personally, hey, if I have any intraday trades on, I want to make sure that those are closed out as soon as these minutes come out, because pretty much what happens is like the liquidity leaves the market for a few minutes. And I think it's because like nobody wants to get caught, on the wrong side if there's any big announcement. And it basically becomes like a huge stop run event where like, dude, if you go to like a 5-minute chart or like an hourly chart or something on a very short-term time frame, usually you get like these huge bars that come out of the Fed minutes. But I think the real key is like what actually happens into the end of the day and what actually happens into the end of the week, because the first reaction is just like this knee-jerk, algo-driven, there's like headline reading algos that come out and they basically like trade the event. Right. But then into the end of the day, that's where you get like the real reaction and like asset managers, like what did they actually think about the minutes? So as I look at the market today, like I see everything's pretty much up off the lows, but one metric that I track very closely is up volume and down volume. And I see right now we have 24.4% up volume in the market. We've got 75.6% down volume.
Interesting.
So unless that changes, to me the narrative still stays the same. This is like day one of a pullback after this, huge run we've had in the market.
Got it. So what would get you changing that perspective? Simply that up volume, down volume numbers kind of flipping?
Yeah, so if the market got super strong, all of a sudden the breadth really picked up, that would be like, oh man, like there's some legitimate buying going on in the market. Right now I'm taking a look. I always look at, one of my heat maps and it shows me what's really moving the market.
Right.
This rally that we saw since the afternoon, it's primarily being driven by Apple. Apple's had a really nice move. And dude, that stock that's about almost 7% of the S&P 500 just in that one name. So yeah, I would love to see, and I wish I could share my screen with you guys so you could see what I'm looking at. But yeah, I would love to see some more participation. For right now, like I'm seeing the ARK Innovation stocks, they're still down. All the headline indices are down. So I really think like whoever was buying into the market yesterday, those guys, they're underwater now. And I really think today it's been defense for whoever those players are. And I think those players, like I really think the ball's in their court. If they can flip it green into the close, then maybe we just run right over the 200-day simple moving average for the S&P 500. But right now it still just kind of looks like, hey, this is day one of a little pullback after a pretty fantastic run, honestly. Like it's very normal to get these pullbacks, but
Sure.
hey, it still looks like the onus is on these underwater poor location longs for the moment.
So what's your expectation here? What are you looking for across the indices? Do you have downside targets in mind? I know that we were talking yesterday about IWM puts. Where are you thinking of cutting those?
Yeah, so right now I'm long a bunch of put options, and it was fantastic coming into today, short the market. Today so far has been a pretty fantastic day. We'll have to see. Right now I'm long puts on the small caps, the IWM. I'm long puts on the NASDAQ, long puts on the S&P 500 as well. And to be honest, all I'm really looking at is like the Fibonacci retracement levels.
Okay.
In the past, I was like, oh man, these Fibonacci levels, like, they're so stupid. Like, no one even looks at these. But to be honest, like, if you're looking for any sort of pullback, it always helps. Like, and I'm sure you can do this in TrendSpider. Like, you just pull up those levels, and those are pretty good reference points. And I find, like, for me, even if we just got a pullback to say, like, we retrace like a quarter of the move that we had from the lows, that would be like, all right, we just had a little pullback. A 50% pullback would be even deeper. But yeah, I think for me, I'm looking for at least like that 23.6% retracement, really, like, over the next couple of weeks, to be honest.
Okay, cool. So are you measuring when you're pulling your fibs, are you measuring from like the low of this whole move? So like June 16th?
So I measure, like right now I'm looking at the S&P 500. I do mine, and I think like you can do it whichever way. I think both work fine. I was drawing mine from July 14th, like this last like leg that we had higher.
Okay.
But I think either way works. But I think right now, like, we're just at a point where like the market's super, super extended.
Right.
And yeah, I think like today we can see like how quickly the risk can manifest. And like we saw over the past couple of days, these meme stocks like running. That dude, when that happens, like this setup, one of our risk models triggered, I believe it was like 2 days ago. And we call it our overheat setup. And to be honest, like usually when you see those meme stocks start running and they're like, ripping the faces off of the hedge fund managers and all that stuff,
Right.
usually that's like a good sign. Like, hey, if you caught some of those names, like it is awesome, but usually that's a good spot to like, just take a breather.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So we're looking for a light pullback, maybe kind of to those two big areas from June and even from August, where we kind of had that distribution in June that ended up resolving to make the lows. And then we had that kind of accumulation back into that distribution area in August that we ended up gaining. So you kind of feel like those levels might be the ones that we're eyeballing. They do all kind of align with your 25% retrace. So that's why there's kind of multiple things there. You know me, I'm a price action guy, and that aligns really nicely for me,
Yeah, so that's definitely an important reference point. And like for me, I always try to take it level by level. So like another level that I'm really watching pretty closely, there's two actually. The 10-day EMA, that's a level I always have on my charts. And that's just a little bit further below where we are right now. And then also the 20-day simple moving average, like in every asset, it could be the most bullish trend in the world. It could be the most bearish trend in the world. pretty much every asset always has periodic retests of the 20-day simple moving average. So what's crazy, and this is why it's tough to get super aggressive in the market when you're really far away from the key moving averages, because like even if we were to pull back to, let's say we pull back to like the 10-day EMA, it might feel super scary because that's like a whole nother like percent or two to the downside.
Right.
But that's such a normal little retrace
Right.
that that's why I try to be like more conservative the further away we get. But yeah, if we pulled back to like the 10-day EMA or the 20-day simple moving average, I really want to see like, hey, do we get some buyers that push us off those levels?
Right. Right. Yeah. And I mean, you're right, man. The 10 on SPY is at 421 and a quarter, which is, that's a big move from here, especially if you're playing options. That's $6. That would be a nice winner if you were in the puts on those. And then your 20 SMA is at 411.91, which maybe even aligns a bit more with kind of that previous consolidation, multiple consolidation area that we've quite had our eye on here for some time. There is a big gap there too on the SPY. You've got a gap at like 412 and 412.34. So that jives too. Would your expectation be that move to happen quickly? Or is your expectation that this is going to be kind of a slog, slow grind now as like a pullback?
Yeah, that's kind of my expectation, like the slower grind, because like for example, like we have options expiration this Friday, and there's a really high level of open interest at the 4,300 level for the S&P 500. And those levels, they can act as sort of like magnets where like, we pin pretty close to that level. So like right now I'm looking at the S&P 500, we're at 4289. We're pretty close to that level, right? But come Friday, about 30% of the options open interest in the S&P 500, that's going to roll off. And about 30% of the options open interest in the NASDAQ is also going to roll off. And right now, we know that pretty much everyone's long call options. And there was something that I put on my timeline. I tweeted it this morning, and it shows us just how long deltas everyone is in the NASDAQ. And I would love to share that tweet, but it just shows. Like,
let's see it.
Yeah, let me see. I'll send it over to you in a DM. Maybe you can share it on your screen.
Here, no, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so for everybody who's interested in following Andrew, here's his page right here at Real Pristine Cap. Show me that tweet. Where's it at?
So where was this? So it's from this morning, 7 hours ago. It was someone, Elliant Capital, tweeted it. Let me see. I'm gonna
here we go.
And I said, what could possibly go wrong?
Record short to record long in a matter of a month. Unreal.
Yeah, so that chart, it's like this guy, Elliant Capital, he shared it earlier today, and it's the QQQ deltas across strikes, and this is up to 6 months out in the market. And basically, it looks like pretty much everyone is loaded up on exposure to the NASDAQ via options.
Right.
So when I see something like that can really like catalyze a rally if everyone's like buying call options.
For sure.
And so now that we're getting close to this options expiration, some of those deltas are going to roll off the books. So like for that reason, I'm kind of like looking at this like, hey, maybe they can like squeeze this thing up to 4,300 like into Friday and really just like capitulate everyone that's bearish. But especially after options expiration, that's where I'm really going to be like, okay, the game board's probably going to shift a little bit. Let's see where we go.
Awesome. Right on. That's pretty cool way to be kind of, it's like some 4D chess, as they say. Good way to be thinking about how to be strategically planning going forward. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I'm kind of curious, what names are you liking here right now? Any trade ideas, anything that you're watching to potentially get in long? Or is it are you all short at this point?
Yeah, so I try to just stay like as neutral as possible. Like very rarely do I go short the market or anything like I am right now.
Right.
So when enter a bunch of stuff on the short side, I try to make sure that I'm still, every single day looking at the market, preparing my watch list. And, at some point, these shorts are going to flip into long. So I'll share with you some of the names that I'm looking at here.
Yeah, and I'll chart them on my end.
Yeah, so one is Enphase. The ticker is ENPH.
Cool.
And this stock, wow, it's actually trading positive today while a lot of other names are weak. This one was on our weekend watch list. And so, dude, I took this stock from about $180 to $280.
Nice.
And then I sold out of my position. And I've just been kind of just waiting on the sidelines, and the stock is pretty much like consolidated for a few weeks.
Yep.
But if you notice, the 20-day simple moving average, it's starting to catch up to price. So I am looking at this one. Hey, if we get a test of the 20-day SMA, that's something I have an alert set at that level. And,
Okay.
if it looks good and there's buyers there, this is definitely one that I'm interested in taking to the long side again.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I mean, amazing strength, right? Like holding previous highs, holding above anchored VWAP from the power earnings gap. Really incredible strength. You kind of figure if this thing is able to hold when markets are maybe starting to sense a bit of a pullback, if markets continue higher, this thing I would anticipate would be a huge leader.
Exactly. So I really like this one.
Okay.
And I've noticed pretty much throughout the year, the energy theme has been like, really prevalent throughout 2022. So this is a solar company.
Okay.
But I also noticed within, I call it dirty energy, but it's like crude or, whatever we're used to. One name that I'm watching, and I actually entered a starter position on this one today, is Oxy, Occidental Petroleum. The ticker symbol's OXY.
Okay.
So I'm noticing like today, for example, crude oil is up 1.28%. And now crude's at $87 and change a barrel. So crude has come off the highs like in a major way.
Mm-hmm.
But this stock, Oxy, every time it gets into the 50 range, 59, 55 range, Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, they continue to accumulate a position in this stock. And this one, it's kind of similar to Enphase, where it's been showing the nice relative strength, but the dirty energy stocks, they've kind of been like stopped in their tracks as crude oil has come down. But if we were to get some sort of like, retracement in crude, maybe crude goes back to like $95 a barrel or something like that into the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Right now, Oxy's pretty much trading right on top of the 20-day simple moving average.
Yep.
And this group, it was strong the first half of the year. It's kind of losing its relative strength now. But yeah, if crude starts to catch a bid, this could be a good group to watch. So I entered today some call options expiring in January of 2023.
Okay.
And yeah, that's a position where if this stock goes bid, like today it's down about 0.5%. If this stock starts to rally and we do get some buyers off that 20-day simple moving average, I'll probably add a little bit to that position, because this is like a key as well, Jason. Like, so I'm always watching these themes, right? And I'm like looking at all the trends and like, trying to make sense of all this. And every once in a while, man, I'm not sure if this ever happens to you, but like, have you ever had it where you're like, I see this group kind of setting up, and you're like watching it for like a couple weeks, and then you don't end up taking it, and then the group goes, and you're like, man, like I totally saw that coming.
Of course.
Like, yeah, this is one of those groups for me where I'm like, I could see us having like a little resurgence in these energy companies into the end of the year. So I was like, I just want to get like a little bit of skin in the game in this group and just kind of see where it goes. So I was like, let me just put on these call options expiring in January, and it'll give me a little bit of skin in the game so I can watch and kind of see how it goes.
Right on. Which contract are you playing? What strike?
Yeah, so right now I'm in the January of 2023. I have the 65 strikes.
Okay.
So they're pretty close to the money. It's nothing like too speculative or anything like that. Like I've noticed for me personally with options, they're already so explosive. And I noticed like with, a lot of like FinTwit and retail traders, like they'll be going for like the weekly stuff that's like 10 delta and like all that stuff. For me personally, like with my personality type, if I were to buy that stuff, I always trade it wrong. Like I
Right.
always like hit out of it at the first sign of weakness, or like, I mess up, or like it moves sideways and I end up losing money. So like with my personality, I love just getting options that are like pretty close to a 50 delta and usually have like a couple months on them. And you never really get like as explosive of a winner as you get, if you take that stuff that's like, a weekly or like really far out of the money. But it's still, for my personality type, my strategy, like it works very well for me.
And that's such a key piece of this whole trading thing. No matter why you're getting into a trade, no matter what technical indicator you're using or any of that stuff, like if you get into the wrong size position or the wrong type of position, you could be totally right and totally botch it, right? Because it's decaying against you too quickly or, whatever. So knowing and understanding yourself and your mental, physiological limitations is so huge, so important. It's like one of the hardest, in my opinion, it's one of the hardest puzzle pieces to like find where it fits and how it fits. But if you can master that component, it makes trading so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, because when I'm trading, like, yeah, I've experienced it. Like, I've been at this for a while, and like, I've made more trading mistakes than than anyone. I've made any mistake you can imagine. I've made that mistake,
yeah,
and
feel the same.
yeah, it's crazy. So like, for me, like one of my mistakes is like when I get to the desk and I feel like stressed out and I'm like on edge and I'm like, oh man, this thing's got to move. And like, you're feeling like your heart's racing and whatever. So like now with my trading, I just try to make sure like no matter what I'm in, like I just feel nice and even. So like rarely do I ever get like, oh my gosh, this option just went like 1,000% in my favor. Like I never get that. But when I take losses and whatever, like it's never anything like where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed out. I just try to keep everything like as even keel as possible.
It's huge. Such a huge piece, man. Good on you for doing that. How do you manage that?
Yeah, so for
how do you like check in with yourself ahead of taking a position?
Yeah, so for me, what I try to do is like, I'm like a pretty like routine driven person. So like a lot of my analysis happens when the market's not open.
Right.
So like what I tend to do is like, so when the market closes, like I do a recap YouTube video every day for my clients.
Right.
And that gets me thinking about what happened that day. And then as soon as that ends, then I start like building out my watch list and, doing that sort of stuff in the evening. And typically what I do is like at night, say it's like 7 p.m. when I'm doing it, I'll get like a trade idea. And I'm like, hey, this is like an idea. I think it makes sense. Here's how I'd want to structure it. And I kind of like mentally imagine myself taking the trade the following day. And then what I do is like, then when I wake up the following morning, I usually start my day around like 6 or 7. Then I will like mentally rehearse adding the trade again. And I'll like mentally rehearse, like, could I lose this money, whatever it might be. So I get like 2 repetitions on it. And then when the market opens, then when I actually take the trade, like it almost feels like I've already like come to peace with the decision like so many times already that
Right.
by the time I actually take the trade, I'm like, okay, I'm so familiar with this. Like I know what's going on. Like I know what I have to lose. All that sort of stuff.
Interesting. That's a cool process. I've never really thought about doing it that way. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah, so
right.
it's like a mental rehearsal kind of where you're like, by the time you actually put the risk on, it almost feels like you've already had it on. It's weird.
Right. Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense. And that's what so many people talk about. Athletes talk about visualization. Like it's a huge piece. I need to put that into practice myself. I think that would be good for me to try.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, Andrew. Well, thank you so much for that advice. I really appreciate it. Hopefully some of our viewers do too. One last question for you. One of our viewers is curious what your long-term target is on Oxy. Where are you going to be selling those calls if it goes in your favor?
Yeah, so really what I'm looking for is almost just like a balancing crude. Like for me, like I rarely ever have like a long-term target. One area that I'm looking for as a reference point is the prior highs for Oxy. So like, we
Okay.
made some highs in May and June, and it would be a move to about like $70.
Yep.
That's kind of where I'm looking. Like if we get a move up to around $70, I would take this one off probably just for like a base hit winner and probably just call it a day there. I'm not really looking for anything like too crazy.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Right on, man. Well, Andrew, man, thank you again so much for coming on the show and joining us. We really appreciate it. It's awesome to have another voice to talk to here. And I'm glad that you're the first guy to come on. Maybe we can get you to come back on in the not so distant future.
That'd be awesome, man. I would really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Everyone that's in the Discord listening, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
For sure. Yeah. And again, Real Pristine Cap on Twitter.
Yep.
Let's go back to your page so everybody can find you. Andrew O'Connell, Real Pristine Cap. I'm going to link this as well into the chat. Here you go. If anybody wants to give our boy a follow, this man is a wealth of knowledge. So yeah, great to have you on, Andrew. Have a great rest of your day, man. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
Sounds good, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Talk soon.
All right, take care. Well, there you have it, guys. Andrew from Real Pristine Cap, a gentleman and a scholar. We appreciate him coming on to chat with us and talk shop. Lots of great insights there from him as far as trading psychology, some ideas for trades. You know, we try and give you guys the goods here. So really, really appreciate everybody tuning in, who is tuned in, everybody hanging out. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We've got maybe about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour or so left of the stream. So if anybody has any questions about anything, happy to answer those for you now. If we have anybody who's new to the TrendSpider platform that's curious about TrendSpider stuff, hit me with those questions. Happy to answer those questions for you. Britsu, what's up? Pow, I saw you talking earlier. He's speaking facts. And absolutely, I agree. Thoughts on Apple, Mark? Well, can't say it's not the strongest stock in the market. If not the strongest, absolutely one of the strongest. I mean, we are at a big spot here, right? Because essentially, as far as trend is concerned, we've got a high, we've got a lower high. Now, the big question is, are we making a lower high now? If that's the case, we've got lots of lower lows to prove our downtrend, and we have some lower highs to prove our downtrend. Could today be a capitulation day on Apple? Certainly could be. Could be the end of this run. If we're able to get above these previous highs, right in here, won't take much. If we can get above that 179 level and stay above that 179 level, even if we don't end up holding, even if we end up kind of pulling back, I think that's the beginning of something serious. I think that's something that we should not take lightly, in my opinion. There's a pivotal high, or it's a pivotal lower high. This is your pivotal high. There's your pivotal lower high. This high here is more important than anything that's come below it, right? If we can get above this, that definitely sets up a move back to test the old highs. If you see Apple making new highs in this market, what does that say? I mean, even if it makes new highs and corrects, you just made a new high. And proper trend says you just made a new high, probably going to continue going higher. Even if we do get a drastic pullback, you could get a massive pullback and still be in a uptrend, right? So if we go to bigger time frames, it is possible. Although on the weekly here, we've made a lower low relative to this really important low here. If we start making a new high, what I would kind of be looking for, and I mean, this is a really long-term view, but if we're able to make a new high, you would want to see what happens when it comes back to test. It might hold, it might not. You could bring it all the way back down here You know, ultimately, if we hold these lows, forget about it. We're going higher. So that's a very long-term view. I mean, right now you are at a sketchy spot. If you're long Apple here, you know, I would be selling personally just because you're coming into those previous highs. You would anticipate price would sell here. Simply, you're making a potential lower high. But that doesn't mean that price can't continue higher. That doesn't mean that it won't continue higher. But if we start making moves higher, we take out this really, really, really pivotal high here, we make a new high, that's really important. That would be really important. That to me would affect the dynamic of the markets in general. Because like Andrew was just talking about, Apple is such an important piece of the puzzle. And then you're looking for the old highs. You're looking for them to come back into these old highs. So that's kind of what I think. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's tricky to short the strongest stock in the market. You really got to nail it. You really got to nail it because Apple is a flight to safety stock. When everything else is selling off and Apple is not, that means that people are hiding in Apple. And I don't mean like you, me, Joe Schmo. I mean big money hiding in Apple. All right, so we got Mike here. Mike is the master of the trend. He says it's a short. If Mike says it's a short, I mean, I'm usually going to listen to Mike because Mike understands trend probably better than most people. And I mean, it is. It's failing a new high right here. It's a perfect spot to take a short. Whether or not it'll work, we'll see. And maybe, Mike, maybe you could speak on that a little bit. I don't know. Right. Stop is super easy. And that's why we like it. We like areas where it's a very, very obvious stop. Yeah, Melody, that's what we're talking about here. You know, Mike, if you want to come on and chat for a bit, we could do that too. Just give me a jingle on Discord. Let me see. Are we friends on Discord? Let me make sure. No. So, Mike, the way that I'm doing these right now is all you got to do is just call me on Discord. Let's see here. Are we friends? I would think we're friends, but we might not be. Okay, yeah, we are friends. I'm trying to call you right now. Come on and say hi. Haha, Mike's got a beer delivery coming. All right, well, hit me when you can, Mike. I'm going to be around here for another like half hour. I'd love to get your feedback here. I'm going to pop back over to the Qs, see what they're doing today. Holding about where you'd think they would. Did I? No, I did. Darn. So they retraced. Everything retraced the entire move. Interesting. And it's holding too. Apple 710. We can look at those. Let's look at them real quick. Let's actually see what's going on here. Curious what this is. So repeat puts on the 170s. Expiry November 18th. $1.5 million in premium on the 170 put on Apple. What else? There was something else that I saw. Oh, what's that? Yeah, what's this? Okay, same thing. Yeah, I mean, the 170 puts, November 18th. That's a big one. Just wonder if Andrew's right. I kind of suspect Andrew might be onto something with the idea that they might not really drop markets. If they're going to go lower, they might wait. They might let this thing go sideways until Friday and let OPEX do its thing. Lori, do we think semis are waiting for more earnings? I don't know. The big ones are behind us. NVDA, I think, still has earnings to come. Ooh, I got to remove all this stuff. There's a lot of noise there. So NVDA has earnings on the 24th. That's next week. AMAT earnings on Thursday. And AMAT looking quite similar to NVDA, I would say, I think. Yeah, quite similar. Certainly could be waiting for those final kind of shoes to drop, as they say. Pan W, quite different look, or slightly different look. Absolutely. So one thing that I'd be curious about, Lori, is the weighting of those three names on that index on SMH. How does SMH look? SMH doesn't look bad. You got a big level here at 250, 248, 247, just that area. So Pan W, same kind of look, right? Big flat spot. At 527.50, big area. Anchored VWAP from all-time high on Pan W. Price catching a bid there actually today. I mean, this thing is not going to, my guess, this thing will not make any sort of dramatic move until earnings. Unless maybe they like foreshadow earnings here in the next day or two. That certainly could happen. Whether or not they'll do that, I don't know, but they could. AMAT, kind of the same. AMAT doesn't look quite as nice. Getting stuck below kind of where it failed. Oops. Kind of in here. So it's filled all of the gap stuff. Just waiting for earnings. Earnings are gonna, yeah, I mean, earnings are gonna definitely, I would imagine that if you get some sort of strong something or another out of some of these names, that could definitely move SMH in one direction or another. Looks like always like to look for these big open interest plays. See, yesterday on Monday, it's not that big of an order. This is kind of interesting. 1,000% of the open interest on the 12 for the 145 call. That probably is all. The trade's probably done. Oh no, maybe they were selling this. Ooh, interesting. Always like to look for unusual options, see if there's anybody that's preparing for anything in particular. Go back to PanW and see if there's anything there that's of interest to us. Today, 333% of the open interest. Not a huge play, but a decent chunk of open interest on the 470 put. Expiry for June of next year. I don't know if that really tells us too much. Looks like sweepers. Excuse me. Interesting. Somebody's buying like verticals. So big trades on the 15th for the 250 call for June expiry next year. Maybe Elon's buying them. And then AMAT. Were we just there or no? Yeah, we were just there. Let's go to NVDA. See if there's anything of interest. Ooh, 155 calls. August 19th expiry. 49.52% of the open interest. A $16 million position here. When was this trade made? Let me see. $16 million in premium. See if I can find it. We don't know when that trade came in. I'm just hunting for it. See if I can't. Here it is. So August 15th. Somebody came in on August 15th with a $16 million order for the 155 call. Now the question is, were they buying that? Are they long that? Or were they selling that? We don't know. It's the only thing we don't know. You could almost theorize that they might have been selling it into those previous highs. We did not make a new high that day. The plot thickens. That's a big order, though. Hard to know. Hard to know the importance of that order. Because sometimes you'll see them and they'll come and they'll have these huge orders right at a pivotal level, and then price will go in the opposite direction that the order suggests, right? They're buying calls, or it's a order for calls. So, you know, in theory, that would suggest that they would be long, but it's not always the case, right? We don't know. We don't know if they were they were selling them or they were buying them. 16 million though. That's a big order at a pretty important spot. My gut instinct is that they were selling them. That's a lot of money. maybe it's not a lot of money to the person who bought it, but it's bigger than my account too, Lori. So did Q's come back? Yep, Q's retraced the entirety of that move. IWM did as well, and they're actually already took out the low of it. Mike, you ready for me? Give me a jingle. Mikey.
Hello, good sir.
Hello, everybody. Wow, we're just doing the guests today. Everybody, this is Mike, Mr. Mike Lambert from Market Traders TV. He is a regular guest on our live charting show. He's a good friend. He's a master of trend. And we're happy to have him on. Mike, my man, how are you today, buddy?
Hot.
Yeah. Southern California is a hot place.
Dude, it's so humid today. Hello, YouTube. How you guys doing?
What are we watching today, Mike? What are your thoughts on the overall markets today? Where's your head at?
I think we're still going to go higher on the major indices.
Okay.
I'm looking for a good Globex. We're going to be looking for longs. Might be missing longs right now, to be honest.
Okay.
But it's not a great time to trade, being that it's 20 minutes to the close, and then after hours is always kind of sketch. Because we have MOC coming up in 12 minutes, so, we'll see.
Okay.
But during Globex, definitely going to be looking for longs. Last night, my short, you saw it. I got a little bit skunked.
You did. You got totally skunked, man. I'm really disappointed. I'm sorry. I wish that didn't happen. All right, so talk us through your headspace. Why are we looking for longs here? We got a lot of bearishness out there right now, or we have what kind of feels a little bit like some euphoria is bubbling up to the surface. We have others who are starting to sense that euphoria and are starting to establish short positions. Talk to me about why you're prepared to go long and maybe where you're looking for things to slow down, where you would be thinking maybe longer term bearish.
Well, for me, it's never really long term. I just set up trades and take them. If they happen to play out over the course of months, and so be it. That's fine. But I like where the ES held on the daily.
Okay.
I'm okay with where the Russell held. The NQ is a little bit weird, but the NQ is always a little bit weird.
NQ is weird.
It can be. Especially when Apple is the only thing up in the entire NQ, right? Which was kind of today. Right.
So, Todd, what is the spot that held? Are you talking about today's low, essentially?
So if you look at the daily on the ES, it's probably not going to look at the same on the SPY, but maybe it is.
It'll look loosely the same. I'll throw after hours on there.
It's kind of far off, to be honest. But so 4 days ago, the top of that swing, see, it doesn't look good on the SPY. The SPY actually doesn't look good for longs at all.
Okay.
The ES does. And so the SPY, you don't want to look at that bottom swing that's already been tested, and you actually want to look lower at 410. So that would be the place to go long on the SPY. So the SPY doesn't look good for longs right here, right now.
Okay.
The ES more so does.
Interesting. I mean, if the ES looks good for longs, then the SPY looks good for longs. No, you can't go higher on ES and not go higher on SPY.
Well, the SPY is derived from the ES, and that's why it's always better to chart the origin, right?
Right.
All the time. But you see that bottom swing on the SPY, that looks good, and we could probably map that up to the ES and find where that is, and it's probably a valid spot.
Yeah.
But on the ES itself, the high of 2 days ago, it held on this bounce, and then they pumped up a higher swing high on the FOMC minutes thing, which I think is always kind of silly, but I don't know why the minutes matter, because the Fed release already told us what's in the minutes, but you know, whatever. So I think it's going to be revisit to the bottom low swing on the daily on either the Russell or the ES, and I'll take either one, and I'll just stop at the daily low. If they break the daily low, I'll just be out.
You think a revisit to the daily low?
Yeah, the top of the daily low.
Okay, so where that puts us on SPY is like 425?
Sure. That would be fine. That's untested, right?
It is.
That's fine.
Okay. So you're looking for
YouTube.
longs. So you're looking for longs if it can continue to pull back here and go test the previous, or go test early today's lows.
Yeah, because I like the low time frame where they gained, and I
Right.
actually like where they rejected as well.
Yeah,
Now,
I love where
obviously,
they rejected.
We're in like a 2-day downtrend, but that's fine. It's you know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's kind of
Right.
the nature of the game, right?
Right, for sure.
I don't really worry about it too much. Obviously, the short at the rejection would have been the play, and I didn't take it. So
All right, can you see my screen right now?
I'm looking at YouTube.
Oh, okay, cool. So I had, before I got on this call, I had shorts stacked right here off of this high, and I did, and I took them all off because I was coming on the show and I didn't want to mess anything up. Man,
Oh, it's a gap
I had
fill
it.
too.
What's that?
It's a gap fill too.
I know. I mean, I had it all staged. And then right before I got on the show, I said, I'm just going to be responsible. I'm going to take off all my orders so I don't have any resting orders. If I happen to get sidetracked and lose track, I don't have any resting orders sitting.
Yeah.
Mistake.
Well,
Pretty
trading
bummed
when you're live on stream is a whole different scenario.
It's a whole different scenario for sure. So, all right. So let's talk bigger picture here. What have we done? What do we need to do? One thing that I notice, and you can tell me if I'm dead on the money with this or if I'm dead not on the money with this. I'm always looking at all three, right? I want to see all three in comparison: IWM, SPY, QQQ, or ES, RTY, and NQ. Yep. On the Russell here, we've come up into this stuff, and we rejected kind of right where you would kind of expect. Right?
It's pretty perfect.
Pretty perfect. On SPY, we're nowhere near it yet. The same area, right? Like that same spot, 444 to 435, somewhere in there.
Just exactly right there. Yeah.
QQQ, same deal, right? We're coming up into it, but we're not quite there yet. Is it reasonable to have the expectation that if IWM made it into that, SPY and the Qs probably should too? Or is that an unreasonable expectation and I should just not even be thinking that way?
I don't consider correlations. I look at them all individually.
Okay.
And is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't say. A lot of people love correlations. A lot of people like to talk like, oh, you know, this sector is doing this, so the stock's going to do that, blah, blah, blah. I've always just looked at everything individually and said, okay, what does this chart tell me? And I take it for what it is. Like, I'm looking to get long on the indices, but I'm also looking to get short on Apple. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's diametrically opposed, right? It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make, but the Apple short does make sense.
Right.
So, whatever. But just because Apple has a retracement doesn't mean the broader indices will go down. It's just, 10% of the weighting on the NQ.
Right. It's huge.
Or 11 or whatever it is.
So do you think that they end up coming up in a little bit more on Qs before they sell it? Or do you think this is just what it is and I shouldn't even be looking for these areas to...
Well, they're not just going to not test it.
Right.
They always test, right? It doesn't just do weird things. After you understand what you're looking at, it doesn't do weird things. They might gap up tomorrow into it and then just instantly dump it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who's to say? I don't know.
That would be something interesting to see happen.
Well, they could. If the NQ finds support tonight and really does a nice Globex, move up, then they're going to gap the Qs right into that spot, and that's going to be there.
Right. Interesting. Wow, that would be something. What's your interpretation of why SPY is lagging so much? And also, what's your interpretation of why are small caps doing so well?
I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you. I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
And it's one of those things too that I don't ever try to consider. Is, you know, I just look to see what the chart's doing itself, and then I try to trade according to it.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes there's divergence. Sometimes the Russell is just going crazy, right? And the NQ is dumping, and you're like,
Yep.
okay, well, whatever. You know, you gotta take it for what it is, right? You're not gonna make money on the Russell by looking at the NQ.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. Yeah, but I mean, you want to know what's going on with all of them so that you can kind of start anticipating if Russell is just slamming higher and NQ and ES are just kind of chilling. You kind of anticipate that NQ and ES might catch a bid if Russell's just jamming higher.
So if we're talking about correlations, the Russell is the least correlated.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
there's overlap between the NQ and the ES, because it's actually the same, like apples in the ES as well, right?
Right.
So there's correlations there, and there's even more correlations if we talk about the Dow, the YM, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's even like they're in both the NQ and the ES, everything in the Dow. As far as I know, I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure everything in the Dow is there. So there's even more correlation there, but. Yeah, I don't know. Just take them all for what they are, and sometimes you can be short on the NQ while being long on the ES.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, that's kind of my headspace. Like, my headspace right now is NQ and ES have a little bit higher to go, where IWM might not for now.
Yeah.
My theory has been IWM could continue selling, and NQ ES buyers could come from IWM into NQ into ES and bring them into those same areas that IWM hit 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like those same technical levels.
Yeah, because it's the exact same. It's the exact same swing spot.
Yep.
And they probably will. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. So that's
Right.
another reason why I'm looking for longs, because they haven't completed their journey to that swing.
Right. So then once they complete their journey, they fulfilled their destiny to that swing.
Mm-hmm.
What is your vision? I know that you don't like to talk in like, I know you don't like to think like that, but if you had to make a guess, if you had to give what you think is like the most likely scenario, if SPY and Qs are able to get into those areas that IWM just got into, where do we see... what are key levels that we need to be watching and that need to be holding in order for us to maintain going higher?
It's just the local high of the low that you're looking at. It's
The local high of the low that I'm looking at.
Yeah, so where your box is, where's the local high in that box?
The local high in this box?
Above the box.
Yeah, I mean, it's right here.
That's right. No, it's the top red candle right there. Yeah, exactly. So if they start closing above that, where do we go next?
Up here.
Yeah.
If they fail this, though.
Then we test the move that brought us down.
Right. So then this seems like a logical place. Right? Test the move that brought us down.
Test the move of the low. Yeah, right there. You nailed it.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we got to be looking. And if this does not hold, then what do we expect? Do we just keep going down to kind of those pivots? We keep on coming in here.
You have 2 more spots to test from the bottom. So, you know, I talk about, like, look at the range you're in and testing the middle top, you know, the bottom
Right.
middle and the bottom, right?
Right.
Where are they? Where are they in this range?
Yeah, so they're in like the middle. They're towards the middle top.
You're going to nail them all. I know you are.
They're towards the middle top. I mean, you're currently... This is your range, right?
So you're one at 400. You should move that a little bit lower to the bottom swing in the red candle.
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess you're right. It should be right here.
Because it's already tested, right?
Right. Yeah, they did.
At 400, it's already been done. But
Right.
But the bottom they didn't do. Yeah, right there. There's actually a little gapper there too.
Yeah, so if this is our range, they've kind of run through the bottom of it. They've come into the middle of it. You could put these bad boys on there. And this is where the fibs make a lot of sense to me, right? To show you that upper, middle, lower, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that we haven't really done is come up into this.
You actually did a perfect fib pull there, by the way. I'm impressed.
Oh, hey. A perfect fib puller over here. You guys saw it first. It's the first time I've ever done a perfect fib pull.
Well, look how it lines up too.
No, I know. It's beautiful. Super, super, super clean. Getting rejected at 0.786. Yeah, I mean, my gut, I'm with you. My gut is we're coming up into this. Maybe not 450. I don't know if we get to 450, but I think like 444 is doable.
Can you add the 786 to your fib?
It was there.
Go add the 886 then.
Okay.
Sorry.
You good?
Want to see where it is. It's one of those weird fibs that don't really matter that much, but
There you go. Right in our box.
yeah, it's right there.
What's the story on the 886?
It's not really that important, but it's the thing between the 786 and the top.
I got you. It's like the 50% of the top and
Yeah.
0.78.
It's like this
Gotcha.
SR flip between the middle.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Let's see what the Qs are looking like for that same kind of area.
We just had MOC and they're dumping it, by the way.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
So Qs managed to slightly gain that 0.786. And almost failing at the 0.886. Let's see. Man, I'm still kicking myself so hard for pulling that short. I can't believe oh man, I'm so bummed about that. That would have been such an awesome trade.
So I had the short on the Russell. When I looked at the Russell daily chart today, after I woke up and saw that I had a loser, the daily high was actually the stop loss that I should have had instead of, because I had it within range, I didn't have it outside of range, and that would have been it would have banged out, and it's just me not looking at my own charts. You know, it's so stupid. You know, why you gotta do charts if you're not gonna look at them, right?
Right.
So dumb.
It's so dumb.
But you know, chalk it up as a mistake. Even though it was technically a good position, I just didn't have the stop in the right spot.
Right. Well, all we can do is keep on keeping on and get the next one. That's it.
Yeah, I'm 1 for 9 in futures trades lately. I've been fucking mashing it, dude.
That sounds like me. I'm kind of in a similar boat. I'm in a similar boat right now.
I think this is the worst. It's been like the worst 60 days that I've had in the last like 5 years.
It's tough, man.
Well, I'm only losing like $20 at a time, though. It's not like it's a devastating thing, but you know, that's a pizza.
Well, it's not. Yeah, financially not devastating, but mentally can be. Mentally, it can be really tough to take strings of losers. It could be. It could be. I think it's more detrimental mentally than it is financially. Like, I don't care about the money so much. I care about like just a certain amount of misses in a row, and you start questioning everything about your process.
But I understand everything that I did.
That's
so
right.
It doesn't affect me mentally. It's just, for me, it's a little bit different because I'm doing it all on live stream with 2,000 people watching a day, right?
Right.
And I get like all the haters, and they say, well, "Good job with another loser." Hashtag bad trader. I know, right?
Rex.
I've never admitted being a good trader. I'm
That's
a great
true.
analyst.
Yeah, you're very.
But I've always said that my trading needs to improve.
You're forthcoming about that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm
overall positive.
What's that?
Even though I'm overall positive, I've made money in the market for sure.
Right.
But we could all be better traders.
Always. Well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn to be better. So we'll continue trying to learn. With that, Mike, I'm going to sign off here.
All right.
Thank you so much for being with us, man. I appreciate it a bunch. Today has been so much fun having guests on. Hopefully everybody who's tuned in has enjoyed having some guests. Mike, you're going to probably be live for the next, 12 hours?
I'll probably be around until 10 p.m. Pacific, so the next 9 hours probably.
Okay. Right on. Well, if anybody is interested in learning more about how Mike sees things, how he charts via price action, hit him up. Join his stream, Market Traders TV on Twitch.
Can I link it?
Yeah. Link it.
Maybe Nightbot will time it out, though.
If it does, I can link it.
There we go. All right, Jason. You have a wonderful day.
Yeah, likewise, man. Thanks for being here. We'll definitely have you back. And yeah, I hope that Globex goes well. I'll probably be hanging out in your room later on at some point too.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And by the way, I'm always down to hop on for. It doesn't have to be like 30 minutes, or I just hop on for 5 minutes to talk about a specific thing. It's cool.
Yeah,
just hit me up. Just always hit me up. I'm always down to talk stocks. I live and breathe this,
Thanks, man. I'll definitely do that.
All right, later, skaters. See you, YouTube.
All right, take it easy, man. So that was Mark from Market Traders TV. Good fella, learned a ton from him, and great analyst. He's not that great of a trader. He admits that, but he understands trend better than most folks I know. So if you're interested in learning about trend, here is a link to his stream, Market Traders TV. And again, he is a guest on our live charting show from time to time. I will link y'all to that so you can see if you're interested in that. Let me grab that video for y'all. Mike from Market Traders TV. Here we go. If y'all are interested in watching his last show with us, this is it. And yeah, I'm gonna sign off here. I think that I think that the bulk of today's move is behind us. I kind of do stand on the camp with Mike here. I do think that we might get a little bit of a surprise. I don't know why I have this feeling, but I just have this feeling that we might get a little bit of surprise continuation higher on the SPY and the Qs. Could be wrong, of course, but it's kind of what I'm thinking. IWM having a little bit of trouble here. All of them having a little bit of trouble here, but yeah, no, Mike, you crushed that video for sure, man, for sure. Lots of great information there. If you're interested in learning about trend, do hit Mike up. Do watch that video if you're curious about the style. And yeah. So with that, guys, I'm going to sign off. Let me make sure. Let me see if I can get you guys any other. Let me see if I can get you guys any other information here real quick. Okay, so normally we do a live charting show every Thursday night. This Thursday, unfortunately, our guest had to cancel. So we're not going to be doing one this Thursday. We'll be back next Thursday with Jermaine, Strat Soldier, Cyberdog. Jermaine, he's a trip. And he's a strat trader. So if you're interested in the strat, he's going to be teaching us about it. We've got a space next week. Live, or rather, chart ideas or trade ideas space. Every Tuesday night, we do a trade idea space on Twitter, 8 p.m. Eastern. Next week, we're going to have A Stocks 92, Bones, Trades, and more. Probably usually 4 guests. They come with 2 ideas each. So if you're interested in that, interested in getting some trade ideas for next week, join us on Twitter on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for that. I am going to, I think I'm going to go live on Friday kind of want to watch the market with y'all in the morning. So I think I'm going to go live on Friday morning. Probably we'll do like 10 to 12 Eastern. If y'all want to give me a follow on Twitter, I'll keep you up to date with it. My Twitter is @KrutzkyTrades. So follow me on Twitter anyway, just cuz. If you have any questions about the TrendSpider platform, I am always available, pretty much. I'm always available to answer questions for you about the TrendSpider platform. Chewy, what's up, man? Let's look at Nib real quick for Chewy. Oh, what is this? Cocoa sub-index. Huh. Is there anything else we could, like, let's look at Hershey. I mean, look at Hershey. Monster. I don't know if Hershey is any sort of indication for what cocoa index should be doing.
Okay, there it is. I'm back,
Mike,
boys. I have to with Jason for a little bit there. Right at the close.
Interesting. I'm hearing Mike, but Mike's not hearing me. Oh, I see why. Here we go. Okay, so anyway, Nib. Hershey's a monster. You would think that Nib would kind of look like Hershey. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about this index. This is a weird looking chart, though. This thing does not trade very... Yeah, that's... You're right, I did, Mike. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, right? I mean, if you're just looking at what's going on here, you've made some new highs, made some higher highs, made some higher lows. So, you know, you got to be looking at the next high, 26 bucks. And then I guess ultimately you're looking all the way up here, 27 bucks. But I don't know. I'm not too keen on trading stuff that looks like this. It's just not much in it for me. I would be looking for other names that were, you know, more liquid and stuff. So yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. I'm going to go live on Friday, 10 to 12 Eastern time in the morning. We'll just talk shop. We got Globex that day, or not Globex, I'm sorry, OpEx that day. So maybe we'll get some stuff, some interesting stuff going on. I'll be live again next Monday. I'll be live again next Wednesday. And I'll be live again next Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday, again, is our Twitter space, 8 p.m. Eastern. Thursday is our live charting show with Jermaine. And yeah, this has been awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you so much to our guests, Andrew from Real Pristine Cap, Mike from Market Traders TV. It was a pleasure to have both of you guys on. Hopefully you guys, everybody watching, enjoyed the additional guest takes, the hot takes. We're going to be doing a lot more of that here now that we can do it. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Trade them well. Holler at me on Twitter if you need me. And I look forward to seeing you guys again on Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So yeah, have a good one. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.